Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tyrannosaurus Rex is the most famous dinosaur to ever walk the earth. If prehistoric creatures had legends, T-Rex would be at the very top. Around 6 tons of muscle, bone, and power, this predator ruled ancient North America for millions of years. Its massive skull carried teeth that could grow roughly the size of bananas, and those teeth were supported by one of the strongest bites ever found in a land animal. The T-Rex did not just bite prey, it crushed through bone. Its jaws were designed to deliver devastating force, allowing it to attack large dinosaurs like Triceratops. But one of the most misunderstood parts of T-Rex was its tiny arms. For years, people joked that they were useless. However, scientists believe they may have helped the animal hold on to prey, push itself up, or perform other important movements. Small did not mean pointless. And despite its movie reputation, T-Rex probably was not chasing vehicles at extreme speeds. Research suggests its movement was closer to a powerful fast-to-walk, possibly around 12 to 17 miles per hour. Still fast enough for a 6-ton predator to be terrifying. But the true weapon of T-Rex was not only strength, it was its senses. Its forward-facing eyes gave it excellent vision and depth perception. Its sense of smell was incredibly advanced, helping it detect food from great distances. T-Rex was not just a giant monster moving through the prehistoric world. It was a highly specialized predator built for survival. Powerful, intelligent, and unforgettable. Tyrannosaurus Rex became more than a dinosaur. It became an icon. It disappeared around 66 million years ago. But millions of years later, it still dominates museums, movies, and human imagination like no other prehistoric animal. Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus was unlike any predator the dinosaur world had ever seen. While most giant carnivores ruled the land, Spinosaurus followed a completely different path. It chose the water. Growing around 50 feet long and weighing roughly 7 tons, Spinosaurus was even longer than Tyrannosaurus Rex. But size was not the strangest thing about it. This dinosaur became famous as one of the first known semi-aquatic dinosaurs ever discovered. A massive predator adapted for a life between land and water. And then there was the sail. The enormous structure rising from its back has confused scientists for decades. Some believe it helped with temperature regulation. Others suggest it was used for display, attracting mates or showing dominance. The truth is still debated. Spinosaurus also hunted differently from other giant predators. Instead of chasing large dinosaurs across land, it spent much of its time near rivers. Its long, crocodile-like jaws were filled with cone-shaped teeth, not designed for crushing bone, but perfect for grabbing slippery prey like giant fish. It was less like a traditional dinosaur hunter, and more like a prehistoric river monster. But the story of Spinosaurus became even more mysterious because of what happened to its fossils. Some of the most important original remains were destroyed during World War II in a bombing raid in Munich. For decades, scientists had to rebuild the story of Spinosaurus from incomplete evidence. Then newer discoveries changed everything. Dense bones, shorter legs, and possible swimming adaptations suggested this dinosaur was far more connected to the water than anyone expected. Despite famous imaginary battles, Spinosaurus never fought T-Rex. They lived in different places and different periods of time. But Spinosaurus did not need that rivalry to become legendary. Strange, massive, and unlike any predator before it, Spinosaurus proved that evolution does not create only one kind of hunter. Sometimes it creates something completely unexpected. Smilodon. Smilodon was one of the most iconic predators of the Ice Age. Known as the saber-toothed cat, it carried one of the most recognizable weapons nature ever created. Its enormous canine teeth. These curved blades could reach up to 11 inches long. But they were not just for appearance. They were specialized tools built for precision. Instead of relying on long chases, Smilodon was an ambush predator. It used strength, timing, and surprise to get close before delivering a powerful attack. Those famous teeth were designed to target vulnerable areas of large prey. But this incredible weapon came with a weakness. The teeth were not indestructible. A poorly placed bite against hard bone could damage them and create a serious problem for survival. So Smilodon did not hunt recklessly. It hunted carefully. During the Ice Age, it targeted massive animals such as bison, giant ground sloths, and young mammoths. Some fossil evidence suggests Smilodon may have lived in social groups, allowing individuals to cooperate when facing enormous prey. But despite its famous nickname, Smilodon was not actually a saber-toothed tiger. It was not a close relative of modern tigers or lions. It belonged to its own unique branch of the cat family, a branch that eventually disappeared. Around 10,000 years ago, as the Ice Age ended, many large animals began to vanish, and, for a predator specialized in hunting giant prey, that change was devastating. Without the world it evolved for, Smilodon could not survive. Powerful, precise, and perfectly adapted to another era, Smilodon became the ultimate symbol of the Ice Age, a silent hunter that disappeared from the earth, but never from human imagination. Giganotosaurus. Giganotosaurus was one of the largest predators to ever walk the earth. Long before Tyrannosaurus Rex became the symbol of prehistoric power, another giant ruled a different continent. Around 97 million years ago, Giganotosaurus dominated ancient South America. That was nearly 30 million years before T-Rex appeared. At roughly 43 feet long and possibly weighing up to 8 tons, this dinosaur was built on an enormous scale. But it was not just a copy of T-Rex. Giganotosaurus followed a completely different design. Its body was slimmer, its arms were longer, and its build suggests a predator focused more on movement than pure crushing power. Even its teeth told a different story. While T-Rex had massive teeth built to break bone, Giganotosaurus carried thinner blade-like teeth. They were designed for slicing, creating deep wounds rather than delivering one crushing bite. This hunting style was useful in a world filled with gigantic prey. South America was home to enormous sauropods like Argentinosaurus, some of the largest land animals ever discovered. Taking on creatures of that size required more than strength alone. Some scientists have suggested that giant predators related to Giganotosaurus may have used group behavior, allowing them to challenge massive prey more effectively. But compared with T-Rex, Giganotosaurus likely had a smaller brain. It was not the most intelligent predator, but it did not need to be. It had size, speed, and a body perfectly adapted for its environment. Even its name was simple but accurate. Giganotosaurus means giant southern lizard, a fitting title for the monster that ruled prehistoric South America. T-Rex became the king of the north. But millions of years earlier, Giganotosaurus proved the South had its own giant ruler. Velociraptor. Velociraptor is one of the most famous dinosaurs in the world. But the creature from movies and the animal from history were very different. Hollywood showed it as a giant, human-sized predator that hunted with terrifying intelligence. Reality was smaller, but still impressive. The real Velociraptor was closer to the size of a large bird, covered with feathers, and built for speed rather than overwhelming strength. It stood around 3 feet tall and reached about 6 feet long, with much of that length coming from its tail. Instead of relying on size, Velociraptor survived through agility and precision. Its most famous weapon was the curved, sickle-shaped claw on each foot. Scientists believe this claw may have helped it grip, slash, or hold on to struggling prey during an attack. A small predator with a highly specialized weapon. But its famous reputation for genius-level intelligence is more complicated. Velociraptor had a good brain compared with many dinosaurs of its size. However, it was not solving problems like a human or planning complicated strategies. It was an effective predator driven by sharp instincts. The idea of organized velociraptor packs is also debated. Current evidence suggests they may have been solitary hunters or formed loose groups rather than coordinated teams like wolves. One of the greatest discoveries involving Velociraptor is the famous fighting dinosaurs fossil. A Velociraptor and a Protoceratops locked together in combat. A predator and prey frozen in the same struggle for around 75 million years. Ironically, the movie version that made Velociraptor famous was closer to a different dinosaur called Deinonychus. But the name Velociraptor became legendary. Small, feathered, and misunderstood, the real Velociraptor proved something important. A predator does not need giant size to become unforgettable. Megalania. Megalania was the giant lizard that once turned ancient Australia into a much more dangerous place. Imagine a predator similar to a Komodo dragon, but much larger, reaching an estimated 18 to 23 feet long and possibly weighing up to 1,300 pounds. Megalania was the largest land lizard ever discovered, and size was not its only weapon. It was also believed to be venomous. As a relative of the modern Komodo dragon, Megalania combined massive strength with a deadly hunting strategy. It lived in Australia until roughly 40,000 years ago, meaning it may have existed at the same time as early humans arriving on the continent. For those first people, Australia was not just filled with unfamiliar animals. It was home to a giant venomous predator. Unlike hunters that depended on speed alone, Megalania relied on patience. Its bite may have delivered venom that weakened prey over time. Instead of chasing endlessly, it could attack, follow, and wait for the opportunity to finish the hunt. A combination of patience and poison, one of nature's most effective strategies. Megalania likely hunted large prehistoric animals, including giant marsupials and massive relatives of modern kangaroos. Some researchers have even suggested that Aboriginal stories of giant lizards may preserve memories of encounters with creatures like Megalania. But even a predator this powerful could not survive forever. As Australia's climate changed and many large animals disappeared, Megalania began losing the world it was built for. A specialist predator without enough large prey faces an impossible challenge. Eventually, the giant lizard vanished, but its legacy remained. Huge, venomous, and perfectly adapted for prehistoric Australia, Megalania proved that dinosaurs were not the only giant reptiles humans would have feared.